Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar hosted by the British Chamber of Commerce for Morocco and the IT. We are pleased here to be with you. My name is Karim Ben Haddou. I'm the Deputy General Manager of the British Chamber of Commerce and the Head of OBNI program. The British Chamber of Commerce for Morocco is an accredited chamber by the British Chamber of Commerce in London. It has a direct department overseas business network initiative working in partnership with the UK government and the IT to provide business support to UK companies. We can help your business at any stage, from exporting, from finding opportunities to setting up in Morocco. Our subject today is a very interesting subject. It's doing business in Morocco. So Morocco is an important emerging market. It has been identified as part of a group of fast-growing nations described as African lions. Morocco is the most prosperous country of the Maghreb and the fourth-ranked Arab country after the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, according to the annual ranking carried out by the research organization, the Legatum Institute. At the African level, Morocco ranked second. The economic system defined itself through a large opening toward the outside. We have with us a very eminent panelist. So the first one is Mr. Akram El-Youssi, CEO of Upside Capital. He will speak to us about the market overview and business climate, major business opportunities. The second panelist will be Mr. Amar Sayah, the managing partner of Sayah and Manjra law firm. He will tell us more about the legal framework. And the third panelist is Mr. James Perez Soanes, the Zuzunigi. Well, it's a real complicated name, but a very nice one. It's the regional editor of North Africa, Oxford Business Group. He will speak to us about the Morocco, your gateway to Africa. So now I will hand over to our first panelist, it's Mr. Akram El-Youssi, CEO of Upside Capital.
Thank you, Karim. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very happy to be with you today. I would like to add my contribution to what Karim has just exposed to you to answer the question of why doing business in Morocco and how, assuming that the timing is now. So we'll attempt to address that question in the most objective and factual manner from a top-down approach, from a macro perspective, then on to micro view. Okay, so quick fact sheet. So Morocco has been founded 12 centuries ago. It's a constitutional, democratic, and parliamentary monarchy, religiously tolerant. It's the most stable country in the region. In terms of economic view, CFC, or Casablanca Finance City, is the new economic and financial hub that is in progress to be built to host a certain number of Ivy League financial institutions to cater for Africa as a continent. Financing the economy, we've got a very strong financial sector. Matter of fact, we have not been affected by 2008 crisis. We've got 9 large resilient banks. We've got Casablanca Stock Exchange, which is the equity capital market, and we've got also private equity market. We'll address these couple of points later down into the presentation. And also we've got on the territory major DFIs, development financial institutions, such as EBRD or European EIB and the like. In terms of human capital, there are training institutes customized to Moroccan strategy, which is the accelerated industrial plan, which will cater for later on this presentation. And more importantly, that human capital, currently every single educated Moroccan speaks more than 2 languages, so that's quite a competitive advantage. As for the local market, Morocco counts plus 34 million inhabitants, and it's amongst the largest populations in MENA. So next. So the economic environment. So Morocco recorded a growth rate of 1.1% in 2016. This pace is expected to change positively this year due to a promising pluviometry, despite a decline in foreign demand. So very quickly, so as we see here, GDP growth in terms of nominal and relative values have been around, let's say, $100 billion, give or take, and the growth has been steadily growing to reach the bar of 5% year on year. Inflation has been, I would say, I'd call it a normal inflation, a healthy inflation. It's around 1.5 on average over the last 6 years. The unemployment rate is contained under the bar of 10%. It's give or take 9%. Whereas household consumption has been steadily growing, and that's a sign to reflect that there is a growing middle class, and that reflects the shape of the pyramid. Morocco counts a very large young population, which is a working force. As for the FDI, foreign direct investment in billions, so that's basically every year, let's say between $2 and $3 billion injected in the capital account on a yearly basis. As for the international ratings, we are rated triple B minus, stable, per S&P and Fitch. So infrastructure is very important. So the massive development of road, airport, industrial and telecom infrastructures enables Morocco to offer a well-connected country where the movement of people, goods and data is smooth and rapid. That's true. Today, Morocco counts 15 international airports, Casablanca being the first hub in Europe, from Europe to Africa. Tramways, we've got 2 cities that are covered, Casablanca and Rabat, a couple of lines for each, while Casablanca is now looking to build 2 more, which will make it 4. That's good for mobility. Highways, we've got a very large grid in Morocco. It's 1,800 kilometers of highways. In terms of railway, we are building the first high-speed train in Africa. It's close to $2 billion investment. And in terms of ports, we've got a world-class port in Tangimat, phase 2 under construction, and other large ports that will be launched in Safi in the south and Nador West in the eastern part of the country. As Karim pointed earlier, doing business, yes, we've jumped from the 8th place in 2014 to 3rd place in 2017, and we are ranked basically the 3rd in Africa. Okay, so Morocco, it's not only a country, but let's say a gateway to a very large total addressable market that investors or businessmen can leverage through the FTAs that are in place and the preferential agreement as well. So as you can see here, there's a map of the latter. Basically, over 50 countries it gives you access to basically 1 billion customer. So yeah, so okay, and again that gateway to Africa, that's also true and will be further addressed with Jaime later on in the presentation. The attractiveness of Morocco combines proximity, competitiveness, and easy access to markets. Morocco offers investors free duty access to a market of 55 countries, representing more than 1 billion people, equivalent to 16% of the total world population. And why Africa? We've seen that question earlier. Well, because Africa by 2050 will double in population, so that will make them 2 billion people, including Morocco. We are part of Africa, and the strategic ambition at the top leadership of the country is to lead the continent. So that's very important to be in Morocco, to be close to that center of influence. Well, that growth in population, as the third bullet implies, will result in strong increase in consumption with large impacts on demand, local production, and the weight of the growing middle classes. So the arguments behind Africa is currently the world's fastest growing continent, with GDP expected to grow by at least 6% annually until 2023. And 6 of the 10 most dynamic economies in the world over the past decade have been in Africa, expected to be 7 by 2020. So, and that's, yeah, next please. That's the industrial acceleration plan that I've hinted to earlier. It's supported, it's the cornerstone of the Ministry of Industry. So the 2014 to 2020 Industrial Acceleration Plan is an integrated catalyst for growth. It has 2 major pillars: successful acceleration of industrialization through ecosystem-based development. In front of you are the targets of employment. We have 500,000 new jobs created, out of which 250,000 by FDI. The value added into the GDP is plus 9 points into the share contribution. The trade balance is basically to rebalance that trade balance, matter of fact. And the ecosystem and sectoral measures, how to do that is through many ecosystems and sectorial measures. There is a $2 billion industrial fund. The support measures also are into land, so 1,000 acres, dedicated financial products, coordinated training plans, and offset and substitution for imports. We've got also another lever, is trade balance and inclusive development, rebalancing the trade balance, inclusive of the informal sector, and improved vertical integration of large enterprises and small and medium businesses. Okay. So here are the sectors that are relevant to this acceleration plans. We've got 12 sectors that are the vectors of industrial transformation. So we've got automotive, aeronautical, textile, leather, electronics, electric, chemistry, pharmaceuticals, building materials, renewable energy, mechanical and metallurgical industry, and offshoring. all this requires energy to be put in motion, and specifically clean energy. We don't have plans to have nuclear power energy, but we do have plans to have clean energy. So basically solar and wind. So a potential of 2,600 watt hour per square meter per year with 2 structuring programs. The Moroccan project of solar energy, which aims at putting 14% of solar energy contribution in the total electricity production mix by 2020. And ProMaSol, which is the development program of the Moroccan market for solar water heaters. That's for the residentials, obviously, in the households. Bring the installed capacity of thermal solar sensors from basically half, 44, yeah, close to half million square meters in 2012 to over 1.7 million square meters in 2020. As for the wind energy, the Moroccan integrated wind energy project brings the installed capacity from 280 megawatts to basically 10x later, that's 2,000 megawatts in 2020. So the institutional ecosystem that is supporting this is as follows. So Morocco's institutional, political and macroeconomic stability, which is a variable competitive advantage in a world of constant transformation. Yes, that's true. Is to the point that the ecosystem is hybrid. So we've got the private sector, the public, and other partners. So the public sector would be represented by ministerial departments, the Moroccan Investment and Development Agency, and the National Agency for the Promotion of SMEs. The private sector is represented by the General Confederation of Moroccan Companies, the Professional Association of Banks of Morocco, and the Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry. As for the other partners that we've selected for this endeavor is the Competition Council, the Central Bank, and the Central Office for the Prevention of Corruption. So these are the major partners that a foreign business or investor would like to plot in his map. So now we're focusing on the equity capital market. So it is an investment venue, a funding alternative, and a liquidity exit option for investors. So currently it trades at a market cap of circa $80 billion. We've got 75 listed companies that represent 24 sectors, and that contributes to or represents 85% of GDP. The watchdog here is called AMMC, which is l'Autorité Marocaine du Marché des Capitaux, which is as the SEC in the US or any other watchdog in the world. As a matter of fact, the Moroccan Capital Markets Day, in partnership with LSE, is to be held on the 24th and 25th of April in London. So for more information, you're invited to get more information about this through the LSE. The private equity market is an active one as well. And it is also a venue for investment, but also for exits, as we've got the funds rates up to today are close to 1.6 billion, out of which only 300 million are still available for investments. Currently, 622 million have been invested in 183 companies by the end of 2016. The seed average ticket size is close to $1 million, whereas the average ticket investment into other development cycles is close to $5 million. This industry makes money. As a matter of fact, there have been divestments and distributions close to, and we'll come to that. So the average weighted IRR is 13%, and average investment period is 6 years, and the average yield multiple is 2x. And this industry has contributed on the social and economical avenues of 99%, like 99% of companies have been set up a comprehensive system of governance, and the annual average growth rate of workforce is close to 10%, and the growth rate in the business growth rate is 12% by the investee companies. So that's a double-digit growth rate for both, which is a very comforting figure. Yes. So now this is the UK chart of British companies in Morocco that are present, and they are into Morocco from many sectors, from many industries, and this is just a selection of an excerpt of British companies in Morocco. I think that's about it, and thank you very much for listening, and the floor now is back to Karim. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Akram, the CEO of Upside Capital, for this excellent presentation showing us all the potentialities of Morocco and the business climate. Now I will hand over and let Mr. Omar Sayer, Managing Partner of Sayer and Manjra Law Firm, speak to us about the legal framework.
Yes, hi everyone. So my presentation will focus more on the legal aspects of any investment project in Morocco. So I will try to give you, within the time which is allocated to me, which is a tricky exercise, an overview of the Moroccan legal framework. So this presentation, of course, does not seek to address all legal issues that you might encounter in Morocco, but will provide you with the vital information you need when considering your operations in Morocco. So I have selected and addressed some of the questions that investors may have when they're contemplating putting in place their operations in Morocco. So these 5 items that I have selected are how to set up in Morocco. What are your options in this respect? What is the foreign exchange regime? This is something that you might not have in mind because it is not present in all the markets that you might have been in, but it is specific to Morocco and some neighbor countries. Afterwards, you will want to have in which location you wish to establish your business. Will you do it onshore or in specific zones which are available in Morocco, some of which have already been addressed by Akram earlier, but we will have a specific focus on them. You may also want to look into some labor law matters, and of course, last but not least, all matters concerning dispute resolution. So as an introduction, you might wish to know that even if we are a Muslim country, we are not governed by Sharia law. So Moroccan law is based on a combination of French civil law. This is the major and most prominent part, given that we have been, as you may be aware of, colonized by France during a certain number of years, and a combination of Muslim and Jewish traditions. So these are incorporated in the law, but are more relevant for family and inheritance law matters. So let's go to the first item or the first subject, which is setting up in Morocco. How do you set up your business in Morocco? So you have different options. Either you want to do it by having a direct presence, business presence in Morocco, or an indirect business presence in Morocco. So the direct presence entails registering with the Moroccan authorities. So you can do it through a sole proprietorship, through a corporate entity, or through a branch. While if you want to indirectly be present in Morocco, so you just have to enter into a commercial or distributorship agreement with a Moroccan-based entity. So we will more focus on the first one, given that the second one is just entails entering into an agreement, so it does not raise any specific issues in this respect. While the first one might be important to address. So the first option is to register as a sole proprietorship. So this is just going to the commercial court and registering as a person, as an individual who carries out a commercial activity in Morocco. So the cons of this option is that this registration or this establishment will not have an independent legal personality of that of the owner, which means that the liability or the individual remains fully liable for any liabilities of the business, which is not ideal because you want to separate the person, the individual from the entity, right? In order to not be fully liable for all the liabilities of the business. The second option is to have a branch of or a representative office. This entails also registering with the courts, with the commercial courts of the city within which you wish to incorporate your branch. And it have the same disadvantage that we have seen earlier, meaning that the mother company remains liable to the full extent of its assets for the liabilities of the business. So once again, there is no separation between the branch and the mother company, given that the branch has no legal personality per se. The third option that we, of course, advise our clients to choose, to select, is to incorporate a distinct and separate corporate vehicle, within which, of course, the business will be implemented, and through which the activity will be carried out. And of course, this enables a clear separation and distinction between the liabilities of the Moroccan SPV, special purpose vehicle, and the mother company or the British individual, for instance. So we will have a specific focus on this third option. So you have several types of companies that you can incorporate. You have some of the companies are like general partnerships, which are not ideal, so we did not address them here, because the liability of the shareholders is unlimited, like we have seen before, and there's no separation between the liabilities. So what we have put here are the most common corporate vehicles which are used in Morocco, depending on the nature and of the projects and the stakes also, the amounts at stakes, which are, you have the joint stock company, or Société Anonyme in French, So this is more dedicated to operation of large projects, and we will see why. You have the SAS, which is the simplified joint stock company, Société Anonyme Simplifiée, which is a special form of joint stock company, even more tailored for larger businesses, because the shareholders of this company might only be corporations, large corporations with the large share capital. And we have the last one, which is the champion in Morocco, which is the LLC, or Société à responsabilité limitée in French. So this is more tailored for smaller businesses because, I mean, it's a company which is easy to manage. We will see, of course, why. And this is, with no surprise, why 98% of the companies in Morocco are incorporated under the form of LLC. So we have put here a chart which will give you the main differences between these companies. You can have a look at them in more detail afterwards, but we will give you just some hints about the major differences between them. So joint stock companies, you have to have a minimum of 5 shareholders. You have a board of directors from 3 to 12 board members. Also, the liability, as we said, of the shareholders is limited to the amount of the share capital which is invested. While an LLC, for instance, you might have an LLC with only 1 shareholder, 1 manager, for instance, unless you reach 50 shareholders, and in this case you must transform your company to a joint stock company. Also for the LLC, the liability of the shareholders is limited to the amount of the share capital which is invested. Small precision about the taxation. So whatever the corporate forms, corporate tax rates are the ones outlined in the chart. So below or equal to 300,000 MAD Moroccan dirhams, so that's 10% of corporate tax to be applied, of course, on the taxable base, which is gross annual turnover less deductible charges. So from 301 to 1 million, that's 20%. From 1 million and 1 MAD to 5 million, that's 30%. And above 5 million, that's 31% of corporate income tax. So for the incorporation, it takes from 10 to 20 days as from the reception of all documents to incorporate any type of company that we just addressed or talked about. So now we will see the licenses and the permits. Unlike other countries in the region, MENA region for instance, in most cases there are no specific licenses or permits to be obtained in order to carry out an ordinary commercial activity in Morocco. So the mere fact of incorporation of a company with the rights, of course, corporate purpose, acts as a general operating license. There are, of course, some exceptions for some regulated activities, such as banking, insurance, stock exchange, brokerage, food and beverage, transportation, etc., etc. Also, a peculiarity in Morocco concerns the foreign ownership of companies. So unlike other countries in the region, like in Emirates or Saudi Arabia or the like, there are no ownership requirements, which means that the share capital of a company can be held entirely by a foreign individual or entity. There is only one exception to that rule. It concerns lands which are located in agricultural areas. So you cannot acquire land which is in these areas unless you obtain a specific derogation if you have a large investment project to implement in this area. We will have a look at a very important matter, which is the foreign exchange regulation that you might not be aware of, which is that, I mean, in Morocco you cannot take out of Morocco freely the foreign currency. And by foreign currency I can mean euros or pounds or any foreign currency. So there are specific rules to comply with in this respect, to be able to take outside of Morocco the foreign currency, which is that you must invest, first of all, in foreign currency. And by investing, I mean, for instance, creating your company and sending your share capital from abroad in foreign currency in order to be able to repatriate abroad all the proceeds from your investments, i.e. dividends, bonuses, winding up and merger bonuses, etc. So you have just a specific formality to comply with, which is, of course, notifying your foreign investment to the watchdog, which is the foreign exchange office, within 6 months of your investment. Now we will see very briefly. You have everything in the presentation, but we will see briefly which zones Morocco has created to promote foreign direct investments. So you might carry out your activity onshore and be subject to the common legal and tax regimes, or you might select, if you qualify, you might select some specific zones. So you have 3 zones, offshore zones, and Casablanca Finance City that Akram talked about earlier. Each zone is dedicated to a specific activity and provides for some specific incentives. These are merely custom or tax benefits and exemptions. We will go quickly, because we are running out of time, to labor law aspects. So you have in Morocco several types of employment agreements. You might want to know that you are obliged, the rule is that you're obliged to enter into an indefinite term employment contract. There are some exceptions to this rule, which enables you to enter into fixed term employment contracts. So these exceptions are temporary increase in the company's activity, seasonal work, opening of the company, or launch of new products. And you have the third type of employment contract, which is destined to a specific project, which means that we do not focus on the duration of the contract, but rather on the project which has to be accomplished under this contract. You have an enormous advantage, which is the minimum wage, which is extremely low, which is 12.85 Moroccan dirhams per hour, or 2,000, more or less 500 dirhams per month. That's more or less 200 pounds, I think. You have, the working hours are 44 hours per week, or 191 hour per month, more or less. Retirement age is 60. You do not have, this is a very important matter which distinguishes us from other countries in the region. You do not have quotas as far as recruitment of foreign employees is concerned. So you can employ as much for foreign employees as you want, but there is a specific procedure to be complied with, which aims at proving that there is no Moroccan employee which is fit, or who is fit for the offered position. But in all, for instance, the applications that we have handled, I mean, we have in all cases managed to obtain this authorization. So this is not an impediment, but rather a specific procedure to comply with. Of course, afterwards you have you cannot terminate an employment contract at will, but you have some you can do it in specific cases, such as gross misconduct or 4 disciplinary sanctions within 1 year period, for economic, structural, or technological reasons. We will go very quickly also to the dispute resolution matters. So you might want to know that courts in Morocco are independent bodies, so they are independent from the government, meaning that the government cannot influence the decisions of the courts. We have specialized courts, commercial, administrative, criminal, civil, and labor matters related. We have 3 court levels, so you have a first instance court, appeal courts, and the Supreme Court. And of course, there's always the possibility under Moroccan law to resort to arbitration. So that's, we have ICC Morocco, or we can, when one party is a foreign entity, resort to ICC London or Paris. These arbitration clauses are more tailored for, I mean, big or larger investments. So that's it. I will hand over to Karim. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Amasaya, for this excellent presentation and giving us a global overview about the legal framework. I will now let Mr. Jim Perez Sohan Dezenzenagi, the regional editor of North Africa of Oxford Business Group, give us an idea about Morocco as a gateway to Africa.
Well, thank you very much, Karim, Jamal, and Akram. Thanks, Karim, for the effort in pronouncing my name. I know it's a big deal. You can call me Jamie, that's it. Well, hello, everybody. I won't take more than 10 minutes of your time. Thanks, the other panelists, for the presentations. They were very useful. I want to briefly introduce the Oxford Business Group. I am aware that some of you guys know us already. We're a British company based in the UK, but we have offices in 40 countries, mostly emerging countries. We do research and consultancy works, as well as we have an editorial branch, and we produce reports. We mostly focus on economic opportunities, and we find a bunch of them in Morocco. I was called to speak about why Morocco is a door to the rest of Africa. And I want to go first over very briefly, why is Morocco itself interesting? Because it makes sense to link this with Morocco as a gateway to Africa. Many of you may not be aware yet, but we launched as OBG a survey, a CEO survey, as we called it. We do it twice a year, and we're going to launch our first one in Morocco in April, in about 3 weeks. We interviewed over 100 general managers and CEOs in person to get their business sentiment, and we are very content with the results. This is just a very advancing brief, just to let you know, and this has a link with the whole Africa thing. You can see most of the interviewees see positive or very positive prospects for business in Morocco in 2017. 2/3 of our interviewees are likely or very likely to using Morocco as a platform for expansions into other regional markets. So it's not only us recommending it, it's 2/3 of the interviewees saying we use Morocco as a door to the rest of Africa. However, and to place this as a challenge, and my colleagues just mentioned this as well, the Morocco's business tax environment has been described for most of them as not competitive. Less than 1/3 of respondents said Morocco's business tax environment was competitive or very competitive. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, I want just to everything that Akram said in his presentation was we totally agree with it. Was actually very timely for us. I want to place the focus in a couple of industries that are booming in Morocco, and we see real opportunities, and we're witnessing investments in real time in Morocco in these sectors. Industry, of course, is calling the attention of everybody, particularly automotive and aerospace industries that offer opportunities in their supply chains that are to be strengthened. I just placed an example of the automotive industry and recent movements in it. You can see 18% of production of Renault plants in Tangier and Casablanca that's a very big number of growth. And these plants are based in Morocco just to meet the growing demand of Egypt, Tunisia, and Turkey. That's one first example of a top-tier company investing in Morocco just to serve the rest of the continent. Another example in the automotive industry is also French, Peugeot in this case, which has been systematically investing in the Atlantic Free Zone of Kenitra. The plans is to invest 157 million euros in a plant, including an annual production capacity of 90,000 units. And eventually, this is said by officials to us, expanding to 200,000 sales pickup. This is obviously as well using Morocco as a platform to distribute to the rest of the continent. Next screen, please. Thank you. I'm going to follow up just with another examples. Saint-Gobain, sorry, just to focus on French companies, but obviously you know there is, we didn't first want to focus on UK companies, although we have a bunch of examples. You can all email me if you want to know more of this. But the most of them are French because of their relationship, obviously, between Morocco and France. You can see the quote of a recent meeting we had with Gilles Lavensour, the general manager of Saint-Gobain in Morocco, about they accelerating their investments and using Morocco as a manufacturing center to supply markets in Europe. This is interesting because Morocco, although the topic was about Morocco being a platform for Africa, we are also telling Morocco is a platform industrial-wise to Europe too. And it goes in line with the reality we're living these days, the so-called developed markets being suffering stagnation, and then having countries like Morocco picking up and growing faster. I wanted to also showcase the IT example. Well, I will mention in a bit another examples in industry, automotive, aeronautic, and obviously pharma is a big sector too. But IT is an interesting one. We had a meeting with Huawei recently, and they are really, really happy with the CFC label, which the two of you, Jamal and Akram, mentioned already, and how is this being used as something that raises interest in Morocco. And finally, this helps Morocco to become a hub for business in the region. Next screen, please. Thank you. There's a bunch of opportunities for Morocco as a hub, but this again goes through or only happens if Morocco leverages its opportunities locally. We are witnessing, fortunately, some very, very good signs, very positive signs. One in infrastructure, Akram mentioned it as well, port, road, and airport growth and new works at Terminal 3 in Casablanca, Terminal 2 in Marrakesh, and there's artificial port in Casablanca too. We have witnessed on the soft side of things an increased efficiency in customs processes. Jamal can maybe expand on this. They surely know about this better than we do, but we have talked to various sources saying they are really, really happy, really content with how this has changed recently. You can see the quote from Andres Monroy, the GM of North and West Africa for BASF. They say BASF has seen a net improvement in customs, with our company awaiting certification to receive expedited processing, which we hope they get soon. Costs due to delays in clearing customs have decreased, although there is room for improvement. It truly is room for improvement, but we have witnessed this improvement though, which is essential if any country in the world, any emerging country, wants to become a hub for a region. obviously logistics and infrastructure is the #1 issue they need to cope with. So this is very good news. Another thing that was mentioned, no problem, Graham, you can leave it that way. Another thing was mentioned was the enhancement of the free zones. Obviously, this is another platform. We work. I think Akram is based in Dubai too, absolute capital. We have one of our headquarters in Dubai, and we witnessed one of Dubai's matters and steps to success was the development of free zones. So it's a very good news that Morocco is working on that. Okay, I just want to spend a minute in challenges for Morocco before just passing to some of the things on why Morocco is a gateway to Africa. One of them we just went through them with Jamal, the tax regime, and I just refer again to our CEO survey. There's a high number of companies doing business in Morocco who see tax environment being uncompetitive or very uncompetitive. There's currency issues as well. This happens to be occasionally, but when there's limits on currency trade, this is a hassle for us, for UK companies, for foreign companies wanting to invest and having to deal with pounds, euros, dollars, and various currencies. And the third issue we wanted to point out is sometimes we witness, and we've been told by various sources we work with, there is a lack of specialization of judges. There is an improving private dispute resolution mechanism, but obviously any country will get better recognition if its public justice system could work better. Next, thank you. Just a fourth challenge to point out, the human capital needs. There is very, very high profiles in Morocco, and the basics are covered maybe as well, but there is needs in the middle management and technical profiles too. This could lead to potential bottlenecks, and there is a challenge that we always highlight in each of the 40 emerging markets we cover every year. The educational offer has to keep up with the country's growth, which is not at all easy. Our sources have pointed out as leadership and sales in specialized domains as some of the important needs that companies have, and they struggle with when they need to get new profiles within the companies. We also pointed out a few local challenges. Obviously, this is another one that always comes out, but it's also important to point it out, is we have a strong financial sector in Morocco, that's true, but we will need to keep working on getting better financing conditions for particularly SMEs. Okay, this is the point I came to talk to, and mainly I just did without knowing, but I just want to spend a couple extra minutes and then pass to the questions on why is Morocco, on why should be Morocco the next regional hub for Africa. I'm not going to spend more time on the fundamentals. Akram did very well, and it's totally true. They are all covered. Akram was mentioning the extensive network Morocco has in terms of trade relationships, reaching more than 51 countries through FTAs. And this is good, but it's also good that the diplomatic push is coming too. The king himself is doing an effort to visit one by one all the partners in Africa and strengthening the bilateral relationships between the other countries and Morocco. You can tell from the quote we're just including from Geoffrey Onyema. This is just from visiting Nigeria. You can see a list too of the other countries the king visited recently: Rwanda, Zambia, Madagascar, Ethiopia, Ghana, South Sudan, Tanzania, among others. We just as an FYI, we at Oxford Business Group cover 13 of these countries. So if you want more information, you're looking to enter into any of them, just give a shout and we'll help you out with information. Next screen, please. Okay. Yep. That's the one. Yeah, the Casablanca Finance City. This is just to mention it again because we consider this, we want to stress this. It's very, very important that over 100 companies have a CFC label. This is the kind of work we want and we suggest to be seen in the top financial city of Morocco, actually. This comes again back to what Huawei was saying about they kind of based their investments in Morocco on this label. So it's a really, really important thing. Akram just mentioned everything very well, so I'm not going to spend more time on this. Next. Okay, I didn't want to be just me who say why and how is Morocco doing for becoming Africa's next regional hub. So I just compiled a few of my very last meetings with companies from consulting, Platinum Power. You can read them from the slide. A couple of engineering companies, and the last one is a pharma company. It wanted to rest anonymous, but you can read stuff like this. This is great news for Morocco. The first one from Alga Consulting, Tariq Fadli, is saying great things about Morocco bringing innovative e-government solutions with them, which showcases how the government is also working with private companies. Platinum Power is working, and thanks to Morocco's price competitiveness and project quality, in expanding its work from Morocco to Congo, Brazzaville, and Cameroon. We see from Jacobs Engineering showcasing the role Morocco plays in their company, and they use 75% of the talent being Moroccan for the whole continent work. These examples, we come across with them every day, which is extremely good news. So yeah, that's it. Well, I think we can pass to the little round of questions if you want.
Thank you very much for all of the presentations today. And as Jamie mentioned, we are now going to begin answering the questions that have been submitted during the presentation. We do realise that we have run over by a couple of minutes, but we're more than happy to stay on the line for a few more moments to go through the questions. So our first question here is from Simon, and Simon's question is regarding the infrastructure, and he's asking what the bus services are like. Are they privately run or operated by local or central government? And is public transport heavily used? And Omar, I wonder if you could take that first?
Yes, the bus service, I mean, is not, yes, it is run by a local entity, private one, in which, if I recall correctly, for instance, in Casablanca, there's the state holds a part of the share capital. It's not, I mean, it's not ideal, for instance. The buses, the bus service tends to be, you know, extremely busy at some hours. People use more the services of the tramway, for instance, and also the taxis, which, unlike in London, are not very expensive. It's extremely cheap to, you know, to use a cab in Morocco.
Thank you very much. And moving on to our next question, how well deployed are mobile data services, 3G, 4G in particular, and do people consume information via mobile using mobile data, or do they choose when to turn on and off their data services, preferring Wi-Fi connection when out and about?
Yes, I don't have the exact statistics, as you may understand, but I mean, people, there's a 3G and 4G, of course. People are more and more using their smartphones and mobile data. Do they use it via Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi or via 3 or 4G? It really depends on the people and I mean their purchase power. So this is the answer.
Thank you very much. And we have a question here for Karim from Daniel. Daniel is asking, what are the priority export sectors for DTI BCC Morocco?
Well, the major key investment sectors in Morocco are mostly the energy, which Morocco has an ambitious strategy to develop renewable energy resources. Industry, of course, which include aerospace, automotive, electric, electronic, metallurgic, chemical, and textile. Agribusiness, because it contributes with 19% to the national GDP. Construction and the infrastructure, safety and security, education and training, of course retail, which is expanding a lot in Morocco, and financial services.
Thank you. And we have another question here from Auris. Auris is saying he's interested in the pharmaceutical industry in Morocco. What options and opportunities are there to export pharmaceutical products?
Yes, normally only producers based in Morocco are allowed to import pharmaceutical products. So usually there's a partnership or a distribution contract between the Moroccan pharmaceutical companies. We have some companies which are, quite big, even expanding in the region. Cooper Pharma, for instance, is one of the biggest ones. There's a specific procedure in order to import the product. So the product has to be validated after being tested, of course, by the Ministry of Health. So there's a specific procedure which takes some time, some months. But the British producer might either, of course, resort to a Moroccan-based producer in order to export, or create a company in Morocco which produces pharmaceutical products.
Thank you very much. And being very conscious of everyone's time, and I know that we have run over, we will just take another couple of questions from the audience. And a question here from Matthew. Matthew's asking, can you tell me what aerospace companies are in Morocco? I know Bombardier are manufacturing there. Are there any other major manufacturers? Jamie, I wonder if you could take that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there is three manufacturers from what I understand. The three major manufacturers in the in the world are in Morocco. Airbus, obviously, if you consider aerospace, they were doing works in aerospace, and they're based in Morocco too. They have a really interesting connection between Mexico and Morocco. Because they are working in the same line of research. There are a big chain of supply companies working too. I can get you the list of those if you're interested in.
That would be fantastic. Thank you very much. And our next question here from Henrik. In terms of environmental law and regulations, is there how good is the enforcement? Will the government control and demand that companies prove that they are in compliance with the regulations and requirements?
It really depends on the project. Environmental laws are very new in Morocco. Well, new. They have been enacted 10 years ago in 2006, if I recall correctly. So authorities are not that, keen to enforce and to control and verify everything. But in some projects which might really have, an impact on public health, like let's say pharmaceutical companies, for instance, or polluting activities. In these cases, yes, the authorities might be, very, very keen to verify and enforce environmental law.
Thank you very much. And we are going to take just one last question and then we will end the webinar. So a question here from Melvin. Melvin's asking, what is the general standard payment terms for the provision of consultancy services?
I can take that question.
Thank you, Akram.
It depends. It's a very interesting one. It depends on the client. Is it the government or the private sector? This is number one. Number two, the general standard is like an upfront payment. Let's say it depends on 30–50%. It depends on the milestones of the project, and at the end of and the remainder is at the end of the project. So these are the terms. Durations are dependent on the life of the project. So in a nutshell, a retainer upfront, milestones, and the remainder at delivery, depending who's your client, public or private. Public being longer, but more secure. Private, there is always a risk there, but it is very contained. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those responses. And now if I could just hand back to you, Karim, for your closing remarks before we end the webinar.
Yes, Jill, thank you. So I want to thank all our attendees for being here with us in this webinar and all our eminent speakers. So I want to add a little more things. So of course Morocco has a tremendous potentialities, and we at the Chamber, we can help all the UK companies integrate the Moroccan market, give them more overview about the market, give them sector reports, help them find the distributor partner here in Morocco, make the program visit, and many more things, so on. So our partnership with the IT let us also give you more specific services dedicated to you, personalized and so on. So please do get back to us if you need any information or integrating the Moroccan market. And we thank you again for your attendance.
Thank you very much, Karim. Once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a survey on the presentation. It's just 3 really quick questions, so we would be grateful if you could keep your browser window open and complete that and provide your feedback for us. You will also receive a follow-up email within 24 hours, which will include a link to view a recording of today's webinar. And from the Post in Morocco, you will receive a separate email, which will include a copy of the slides. On behalf of the Department for International Trade and our presenters, thank you so much for joining us, and please do enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.